Welcome to the Grand Canyon Slam Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we talk anything and everything to do with professional wrestling across the great copper state of Arizona. I am Marco, and today on this WrestleMania Monday, is today WrestleMania Monday or is the day after WrestleMania Monday? I don't know. Anyway, in celebration of WrestleMania week, I am switching it up a little bit. And a little change up. As I was writing down my predictions for this one, I noticed that they've also released the betting lines for WrestleMania, which I think is pretty fun for a scripted sport. It's like betting on what'll happen in a TV show. It's fascinating. Can't believe this is legal. I actually don't think it is, but anyway. So I'm just gonna run through the card, get super hyped, give my own predictions, briefly my own thoughts on what I think will play out. I'm not gonna touch too much on the build to each individual match or each individual rivalry, because I am hoping to get to those later this week, but we'll see what happens. But the whole point of this is to be a short episode, so without further ado, let's just dive on in. First and foremost, on Saturday, the first match we've got is the War Raiders defending the World Tag Team Championships against the New Day. There's no way the New Day do not win this. Their heel turn was wild for like 2 weeks, but it's gone super stale lately, just to be blunt. They don't have a lot going on. Their story seems like it's on hold, and winning the titles would probably give them a much needed change of pace. And yeah, the betting lines totally agree. Wow. They are I'm not exactly sure how to say this out loud. Minus 1,000, negative 1,000. They are the minus 1,000 favorite. So yeah, you would have to bet $1,000 to win 100. That is wild. Wow. Moving on. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. I can't call him that without laughing. I just had a venti this morning. God. But yeah, there's no way, in my opinion, that Rey loses. But the catch is that I think after the match, El Grande Americano gets unmasked, and it's not Chad Gable. I don't know how they'll do this, if it'll be some, like, he runs backstage for a split second, and then Ray pulls him back out, and it's somebody else. So when they take the mask off, it's no longer Chad Gable. I don't know. But this story is way too much fun to just end at WrestleMania. It's got to keep going. But it's also at the point where something fresh needs to happen. It needs to change up a little bit. And Americano has gotten the upper hand for the last few weeks, by my memory. I could be a little off about that, but I'm pretty sure he's gotten the upper hand for several weeks now. And it's Mania. The good guy has to go over, especially when the bad guy just pissed off your entire Latino fan base by billing himself as being from the Gulf of America. And yeah, the lines agree with me, but it's pretty close. Ray is at minus 145, Americano at a plus 105. Moving on, match number 3 on Saturday. We've got Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I'm pretty confident Jade Cargill is going to win this. They're pushing her like an absolute star, like the absolute star that she is. She's not going to lose her first WrestleMania match. That's about it. And yeah, the lines agree. She's at a minus 400. Moving on, LA Knight defending the United States title against Jacob Fatu. I personally was not very confident on who would win this. I would like Fatu to win. I'm a big fan of his from his indie days, and I feel that LA Knight's title reign has gotten kind of one note, a little bit stale. It feels like they're just kind of killing time until he drops the title. But more than that, what happens if Fatu loses? The whole Bloodline storyline is built around the concept that if you lose, you cannot be the head of the table. You cannot be the leader of the group. Roman lost, and Solo Sikoa stepped to him. Solo lost, and he bowed out to Jacob Fatu. So if Fatu loses, what does he do? Does Roman go back to the top? Does Solo come back and say, well, now we got to have a match to decide the leader? Does fucking Tama Tonga take over? Jesus Christ forbid. And I guess that's intriguing, so I would definitely be tuning in to see what happens next with the Bloodline, so there is that. But I just don't see Fatu losing. He's a beast. Knight's reign has gotten a bit stale to me, and the betting lines totally agree. He has the same odds as Jade Cargill. He's a minus 400. So yeah, I'm fairly confident that Jacob Fatu is going to be our new United States champion. Moving into our third title match, Tiffany Stratton defending the Women's World Championship against Charlotte Flair. A match that a lot of us are looking forward to. I think Flair does win here, and she does tie her father's record of 16 world title reigns. Again, I will touch on the build and the story behind the match tomorrow, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on that, on all the controversy right now. But any wrestling fan that's listening to this is probably very well familiar with the allegedly off-script promos about divorce and whatnot. I won't pretend that I expect this to be a technical masterpiece or for Dave Meltzer to call this a 7-star classic, but this is exactly what WrestleMania is supposed to be, in my opinion. It's two larger-than-life characters in a complicated, mixed-up badass storyline that is mixed in with some real life elements and has a title record on the line. So it has wide reaching, industry wide implications. This is what WrestleMania is supposed to be. And again, I do think Flair goes over, but it's pretty close according to the betting lines. Patton at a -110 and Flair at a -130. So it's really close. But I do think Flair walks out the new WWE Women's Champion. Match number 6, Gunther and Jey Uso. This is going to be so much fun. This is the first match that I'm not really sure which way it's going to go. I could see Gunther defending and this being the beginning to his long title reign that I think Triple H really wants him to have. But Jey Uso is obviously hot. There's a reason that they had him win the Rumble. He's one of their top merch sellers. He gets more fan interaction than anybody. He's the first guy to finally kill the what chant. That's impressive. Killing the what chant will go down in history. Since I absolutely have to make a pick before looking at the betting lines, I'm going to say Gunther retains in a big heel moment. But honestly, I think it'll really depend on what happens in the main event. If the main event ends with a big crowd-pleasing moment, then I think Gunther will retain here. But if the main event ends with a big heel moment, then I think Jey Uso needs to go over here. So I guess with that being said, I feel confident in saying that Gunther's going to defend in what will be a very hard-hitting match. It's going to be tough to watch for Jey Uso's giant-ass family. Oh, wow. And the betting lines hard disagree with me.
Swing and a miss.
They are giving Jey Uso a -700 and Gunther a +400. So if you bet $100 on Gunther and he wins, you'll win $400. You would need to bet $700 on Jey and have him win for you to win $100. Wow, I was way off. According to Vegas, apparently.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
And finally, our big main event on Saturday, the big triple threat between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. I'm so excited for this match because I have absolutely no idea which way it's going to go. That's part of the magic of a triple threat match. That's part of the magic of this story with Paul Heyman. Nobody can possibly predict what's going to happen next. Literally anything can happen. Any one of these three guys can win. Any one of these three guys can be pinned or submitted. And it's not just fun to see who wins in a triple threat, but also who loses. Who was thrown in there to take the pin. I mean, putting it all out there, looking at everything in a grand storyline, I think these three still have a lot of story left to tell, given their history with the Shield and all that fun stuff. I do think CM Punk needs his big WrestleMania moment. I think he came back to the company. He's done everything that was asked. Triple H just did an interview the other day talking about how easy he is to work with and how he apologized for being hard to work with back in the day. I think WWE are ready to give CM Punk this big WrestleMania moment. I think he's earned it, and I think that it's far bigger of an ending to the show with CM Punk winning than it is with Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns winning. And yes, the betting lines do agree. Punk at a -190, Seth Rollins at a +175, and Roman at a +250. Not that close. So that is WrestleMania Saturday. Moving into WrestleMania 41 Sunday, Night 2, April 20th. First up, we've got the women's tag match. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defend the WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, the WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion. I honestly could see this match going either way. I'm getting the vibe from this WrestleMania that the Judgment Day is breaking up, but obviously they're trying to push Lyra, so giving her a double championship run and teaming up with Bayley would be a lot of fun. But on the other hand, them losing, Bayley getting upset and challenging for the Intercontinental title would also be a ton of fun. It would be a great way to elevate Lyra, as well as then allow them to keep the titles on Liv and Raquel, let them still come out of the Judgment Day looking really solid and really strong. They work together really well, and I think that this tag team is going really well for Raquel. I think it's going really well for Liv. They have this sort of Shawn Michaels Diesel dynamic going on, and I think it's working out perfectly for both of them. I think I've talked myself into it. I was pretty 50-50 at first, but now I'm pretty confident that Liv and Raquel defend against Bayley and Lyra in this one. Let's see what Vegas has to say. Nope, Vegas has nothing to say. Cool. Super cool. Seriously? Yep. Seriously. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, no odds for the women's tag match, so let's just move into the next one. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I hate to say it, but I really think Logan Paul goes over here. I want AJ to win. He's nearing the end of his career, and he deserves a really big win, especially over a huge heel like Logan. And what a great match this is going to be, regardless of the outcome. If Logan Paul beats AJ Styles, the mark in me will headbutt my television. If Logan Paul wins, my heart will be broken, my spirit will be shattered, my soul will be dead, my life will be over, my joy will be non-existent, and my wallet will be empty. Damn it, no odds for this one either. That's really lame. I was really expecting there to be odds for that match, but I guess it's Logan Paul. You can't trust that shady ass. Next up, Braun Breaker defends the Intercontinental title against Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio in a fatal four-way. This match is going to be nonstop action. This is going to be insane. High-flying, hard-hitting, intense. And given the nature of the fatal four-way match, I, again, can't predict who's going to win. Any one of these guys could go over. Balor could win and break up the Judgment Day. Mysterio could win and make Balor break up the Judgment Day. Penta has been super hot, and conventional wrestling thinking says put the title on the hot guy. Not to mention, it would be a nice jab at AEW, putting a title on him, especially a singles title at that. And I could also see them thinking that Braun Breaker is ready for the main event picture. Maybe he's the guy to take the title off of Jey Uso after a short reign. I don't know. Fantasy booking is another mini pod for later this week. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm calling Penta pins Dominic Mysterio to win the title, leading to Finn Balor attacking Dom and breaking up the Judgment Day. Let's see what Vegas has to say. Dominic Mysterio is the favorite at minus 250. Penta plus 200. Breaker plus 400. Balor plus 800. Okay, so it could be Penta. I would bet on Penta. That sounds like a pretty good bet. So Vegas thinks Dom pulls out the W. That would break up the Judgment Day. Next up, we've got a big match that I do not care nearly as much about as I feel like I should. In Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. There hasn't really been much of a build. There's not a lot of backstory between the two. They're just kind of mad at each other. It doesn't necessarily feel much like a WrestleMania match per se. So I hope they find a way to make this feel like the beginning of something big and like the beginning of a rivalry worthy of WrestleMania. I'm calling Damian Priest to go over just because this match feels like it's something for both guys to do to keep busy and to keep at the top of the card. Priest needs a big win to bounce back after losing the world title. And on the other hand, Drew McIntyre's whole story is that every time he loses, he comes up with some excuse for it and he blames somebody. So very easily I could see Damian Priest pinning Drew McIntyre and both guys just kind of treading water through WrestleMania, keeping their current stories going. When Vegas heavily disagrees, Drew McIntyre at a minus 1500. Damian Priest at a plus 600. Wow. I would probably put $100 on Damian Priest, honestly. I'm pretty convinced that Triple H wants Damian in the main event scene, and a big win over Drew McIntyre would, again, be easily defensible by Drew. I don't think he would take very much in a loss, and would very much help Damian Priest catapult into that main event scene. His world title reign came off kind of awkward. It didn't really work out the way I think they wanted it to, and he didn't really feel like he belonged in the main event, to me personally, at the time. So this win here, I think, would do wonders for Damian Priest, and I really think that it would go over well. So I'm surprised that Vegas disagrees on that. I wonder why that is. Moving on to our co-main event. Io Sky defends the Women's World Championship against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match. I think Io has to be involved in the finish. After the whole story setting her up as the odd woman out in this triple threat, she has to be involved in the finish one way or the other, or else what was the point of her being here? What, she has the title? They could have just had her drop the title at like 2 or 3 different points throughout the last few months. So I don't think there's any way that she's not involved in the finish. And after all that, I don't think she loses. I think Triple H likes her too much, kind of like Damian Priest. I don't think he wants her taking this big of a loss. So I'm calling a shocker win. I think Io defends, but the big question is how? Who does she pin or submit? Is it Rhea? Is it Bianca? And how does it come about? I'm sure it'll be something that sets up a future match between those two, Bianca and Rhea, because they're clearly building a rivalry for the ages. Rhea and Bianca already have multiple WrestleMania matches against each other under their belt, unless I'm mistaken. So this match with Io is just one more chapter in that rivalry. I don't think either woman gets nearly as much out of a win here as Io does. And frankly, I don't think either Rhea or Bianca need the title to be a big deal. They're both huge merch pushers. They are both huge with the audience. They are massive names that are highly marketable. I just don't think that you necessarily need to put the title on either of them to make them a big deal, whereas Io could absolutely use a long title reign and a big WrestleMania win to help catapult her into that status as well. What's Vegas say? Oh, Vegas is giving it to Bianca, but it is close. Bianca at a minus 120, Io at a plus 120, and Rhea at a plus 225. So Vegas generally doesn't think Rhea will win, but otherwise it's pretty split. That makes sense to me. I could see either of those happening. All right, and finally getting into our main event of the weekend. Cody Rhodes defends the undisputed WWE Championship against John Cena. Without getting into the story and only focusing on the prediction, there's really not much to say here. Cody has gotten kind of boring. He needs a big adversary that's at his level. And if Cena loses his first match as a heel, then that whole story kind of goes out the window. John Cena has to beat Cody Rhodes, probably with the help of The Rock, to win his record-breaking 17th World Championship. Again, there's really not much else to say. And it looks like Vegas does agree. But not nearly as much as I would have expected. Cody at a plus 160 and Cena at a minus 210. So yeah, Vegas is still pretty down the middle on this. I'm kind of surprised. I'm still pretty confident that Cena pulls out this win. I don't see where the story can go if he doesn't. Although I wouldn't be opposed to a swerve for the sake of a swerve, as long as they can make it make sense within the context of the story. But I can't imagine a scenario where that is even mildly entertaining. No, I think I want Cena to win his 17th world title. I became a fan in 2007. I became a fan of wrestling playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 with John Cena and Batista on the cover. John Cena is my Hulk Hogan. He is to me what The Rock is to most of y'all who were around for the Attitude Era. I want to see it. I want him to win his 17th title. But yeah, that is it. That is our WrestleMania 41 card start to finish. 2 full days, 13 matches. How many titles are on the line? 8. Plus, again, as always, we've got SmackDown on Friday, Raw on Monday. I love WrestleMania weekend. All right, everybody, I have already gone over my time, so thank you all very much for tuning in. Let me know whether or not you agree or disagree. I cannot wait to hear about how stupid I am and how dumb my predictions are. Can't wait to see this weekend how right and wrong I've been, top to bottom. Although it seems like Vegas thinks I have a pretty good feel on most of this. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. Again, later this week, I should be dropping other little mini episodes talking specifically about the build for each match in each rivalry leading up to it, along with maybe a little something else. Not quite sure. Still working it out. We'll see. Follow on Facebook and Instagram. Podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And as always, check out the calendar with all local wrestling events at GrandCanyonSlam.com. One big calendar, all local shows. Check it out. And if you find that I'm missing anything, let me know. DM me, shoot me an email, whatever. Thank you as always for listening, and happy WrestleMania week.